Okay, YouTubers, this is Joe from Artelian TV. We're back at the Rottnest again. This is part 3 of the video I made a couple of days ago, concentrating on the background of the Rottnest, the huge Rottnest panoramic, which is right at the back here. Here's the link. I'll put that below in a minute. At the end of the video, it will either be in the video or under the video, or both as usual. So you'll be able to link onto that and have a look yourself. Download it, go for the TIFF image. I would if you're going to have a close look at this. There's so much to see in this image, it's absolutely mind-boggling. I kept coming back to it and finding more and more and more. And the more I look, the more I find. It's absolutely unbelievable how much stuff is in this image. I'll quickly let's go into PaintShop Pro here. There we go. Now, this will give you some idea of how many things there are. Now, this is probably only half of them. What I've done here is I clipped the top off the image as I showed you before in the previous video and the one before that. And what I've done is highlighted areas where I found interesting structures, and they're mostly on the mountain, on Mount Sharp at the back here. Mount Garbage, as Chris at Mars Anomalies calls it, which is a very good name, I think, because it's absolutely covered in garbage. And not just any old garbage. This looks like military garbage to me, as I said in my last video and previous videos, I think Mount Sharp was, or it may still be, a military base. Now, bear in mind that the Gale crater was once full of water, probably. Don't know how deep it was, but the crater itself is about 2.5 miles down. I assume it was pretty deep. Who knows? But basically, I've increasingly come into the view that it's actually a military base. I think Chris and maybe Will at What's Up in the Sky 37 channel also may well have done many videos on Mount Sharp, and they have done some quite inspiring work actually, which I'm a huge fan of. The sheer volume of work between those guys and the Sky as well, the amount of work they've done over the last year or two is absolutely phenomenal. And it's inspiring to a lot of us up-and-coming Mars Anomaly channels, and I'd like to thank all of you for inspiring me, actually, to become one of these crazy guys that spend hours and hours sifting through NASA images and finding anomalies and posting them on YouTube. So yeah, I'd like to thank you all for that. I do think it's been a good experience to watch your videos, and it's inspired me to do the same. So thank you. Right, moving on. Now, where do we start? There's so much here. It's almost. What I'll quickly do, I'll quickly go over this one at the top here, and show you where these things are first, and then I'll show you the clips I've taken in a bit more detail and a bit more close up, so you can see what I'm talking about. Now this is the area I've covered in the last two videos, where there's this UFO sort of saucer here and a boat here. I forgot to mention there's a structure here as well. I'll just sharpen that up for you. Let's make that a bit smaller. I'll just show you that. I won't spend too long on this because it's a long way off and it's not very clear, but it looks to be. There we go. A structure of some sort, possibly the edge of a building or something. There seem to be, let's get rid of that. There seem to be struts and sections to it, like it's sort of like possibly even windows or something. There seem to be uprights going all the way along this thing. If you can see that, I don't know. Let's get a bit closer. There we go. See that? See these straight lines coming down? Just thought I'd show you that. It's not going to blow your mind, but it's there. There's all sorts of stuff similar to this up on the mountain here. Loads and loads of buildings. There's another strange thing here. I have no idea what this is. Absolutely no idea, but it looks very odd. I'll sharpen it up for you. There's some really odd stuff going on up here. But as I was saying, I do think that Mount Sharp was a military base. And the reason I think that is because I keep finding aircraft and ships and stuff nearby on the edge of Mount Sharp, towards the bottom, as if this area was once underwater and the water dried up and they were just kind of left there, and they got sort of washed up on the side of this mountain like Noah's Ark or something. You know, it's like there's like a load of Noah's Arks all just left there in a whole. There's a whole line of these things. Now, some of these may be boats, some of them may be ships, some of them may be spaceships. It's hard to tell actually with some of them because the lines are fairly blurred between spaceships and marine vessels, because obviously, as we know on Earth here, there are such things as submarine UFOs, like USOs. Now, if you're capable of incredible flight in a UFO type design, a saucer shape design or whatever ship, then they're probably capable of going underwater as well. So it's a bit of a blurred line between the two, actually, I think. And aerodynamics and hydrodynamics are very similar, and a very well hydro or aerodynamic craft, if it's built sturdily enough, will travel from one type of atmosphere to another, including going from air to water. So, you know, bear that in mind. So I'm going to attempt to name some of these things and tell you what I think they are, but I could be wrong. I'm just kind of trying to deduce what these things are. Feel free to comment on any of these things. Now, I've covered some of this stuff over here on the last two videos. I'm going to go in first at this big guy here. Now, this is cool. This guy here. You see him? Now, what I've done here is I've drawn around it very quickly. Drawn around this shape here. And I've just upped the colour temperature to show this, what looks like a submarine. Now, this is big. Now, if I zoom back out, this is one of the largest things on the mountain. This is really big. You zoom back out, that's the whole panoramic there, and you can still see it. So this is really, really long. I'd probably say this is a couple of hundred meters long. This is huge. It could even be much longer. There does seem to be a lot of it obscured over here. It's kind of half buried at this end. But the front end, if this is the front end, and it looks like it here, is quite clear and doesn't seem to be buried at all. It's just kind of lying there. Like a lot of the things. Let's sharpen that up for you. I will show you clips of these in a minute. All of these things I will show you in more detail, but I'm just showing you where they are and what to look for. Let's sharpen that up a bit. There's some pretty good detail here. Now, one thing I really love about this one, and this blew my mind. Not only does there seem to be some sort of thing here, like a torpedo tube hole at the front of the submarine, but there are also, when you go to the back of the thing, if this is the back, now it all seems to be a bit broken at the back here, and it's partially obscured as well by this dark area. I think that's some sort of rock or mound in front of it or something. Maybe not. This may actually be part of it. I think this whole thing here. Now, can you see anything interesting here? Look at this. It's a propeller. Now, I will show you this in better detail in a few minutes. But it looks to me very much like a damaged propeller on the back here. Let's get rid of that so you can see. Here we are. Look, see it? Now, I'll show you that in more detail in a minute. So, don't worry. We will come back to these. There's another thing next to it. Now, this may or may not be anything to do with it. This may just be a mound with something like it. But there's a strange structure here. Let's go back to the sharpen tool again. I don't know what this is. This may be a boat. It may be just a natural feature. But this looks odd to me. This looks odd. There's something weird. And look at the shape of it. There's a lot of these sort of boat-shaped things on the side of this mountain. There's loads of them. They're all over the place. I'd probably say there's 10 or 20 or more. There's loads of these funny shapes. Now, are these hills? I don't think they are, because they show signs of intelligent design. Look at this straight line at the bottom here. Look at this structure here. I don't know what that is. It could be a boat. It seems to have. Let's soften it a little bit. I've gone a bit too hard with the tool there. Let's soften it a little bit so we don't get too confused. There we go. Now, if I get rid of that now, there seems to be like a cabin area here. This looks like a superstructure on top of it. And like a lot of these things, if they are boats or ships, they're kind of lying on their side. They're not upright because there's no water there to support them, so they've kind of tilted over onto one side. So what we could be looking at here is another boat or ship kind of leaning towards us, and this is the sort of top of the cabin here, and there's a sort of structure here, if you can see it. See that there? And obviously we're seeing the boat from almost like looking at a boat from above, but it's kind of leaning over on one side. So we have what looks like a submarine here. We have another one here. There's a vague one here. Actually, I'll sharpen that for you actually, because I haven't done a proper clip of this, but I'll just quickly do it just to make it a little more. I don't know if that helps. Right, yeah. Now you can clearly see there that there's a structure, another boat-shaped structure here with another part to it that comes out the front, not unlike this other one here, and the submarine. Another sort of boat-shaped thing here. I'll probably come back to some of these in a day or two, because there's too many to do in this one video. We would be here all day, seriously. This would take hours to cover all this stuff. There's another one here below. I'll quickly show you some detail there. That looks like another boat shape just there. Not too sure about that one, it's a bit vague. There's another one here. Let's highlight that for you and sharpen it up. Another boat shape lying on its side, may not be. There doesn't seem to be much of a superstructure on this one, but what I will do in the next video, I'll probably do these three and any more I find. I did cover this one on the previous video, this one here. This may be, or may or may not be a ship of some sort, but it looks artificial. The shadow underneath it is a bit of a giveaway here, this kind of dark line. And this may well be an aeroplane. Now, I've actually highlighted this in this part here in the sort of yellowy colour, just to show the dome structure on it. But that may be just the front end of it. I think this thing goes right back here, and it's kind of broken off. This may be some kind of rocket, or who knows. This may be an aeroplane. This is being the front end, and the sort of wing, sort of delta wing, sort of coming out the back, and it's kind of half buried in the mountainside. Who knows? There's so many of these things here. I'll probably come back to that one in the next video with these other 3 or 4. Now this one I've done a clip of. This is like a little boat here. It's not that little. It's quite large, but it's smaller than the others. I'll sharpen that up as well, just to give you some detail. Sometimes it's easier to see these from further away when you just do that. Just go over it with the sharpen tool once, and it just brings out the highlights and stuff like that. I have done a clip of this. We'll come back to this. I think this is the front end here, and there's a sort of hollowed out inner section here, and there's a sort of cabin. We'll come to that in a minute. I'll show you more on that. This is really this one really puzzled me. This looks like some sort of biomechanical kind of machine or ship or whatever. I don't know, unless it's a giant backbone of some sort of massive dinosaur or something, which it cannot be. It's just far too big. If I zoom out here, I mean, this is about a mile away from the rover, and look at the size of it. I mean, is it possible for a dinosaur to be that big? Possibly on Mars, who knows? I actually think this is some kind of spaceship with a kind of one of these weird sort of dragon transformer sort of designs, you know, like you see in the film Transformers. It's in sections. Now, what I'll do, I have taken a clip of this, but it actually looks slightly clearer here because it's smaller. I'll just sharpen that a bit. I'll just sharpen these up. It's got sections to it, and it's got. Now, I don't know if you can see that. Let's get rid of that so you can. Yeah, okay. Now, there's a sort of cockpit here, and there's some spiky. These look like spine, like a spine. There are sections 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, front, ends, and nose, tail bit here, and they've got these sort of protrusions, like spikes, kind of sticking out here. This is so weird. I'd really like you to comment on this one, because I'm absolutely flabbergasted by this one. I'll show you the clip of that in a second. There's other stuff here. There's another thing up here. God, they're everywhere. Now, I didn't draw around that very well. It's actually not that shape quite. It's actually more of a sort of, I don't know, aircraft shape really. This bit is actually part of the background. I sort of did that very quickly just to. Now this is what I would call an image map. I've mapped out where all the anomalies I've found so far. Whenever I download a huge panoramic like this and start looking at it, what I do, I select each area and darken it up or brighten it up, so I can go back and find them again. Because otherwise, you end up spending days and days trying to find things that you found the other day, and you can't remember exactly where they were. Because these are huge images to search. I mean, look at the size of this thing. Absolutely enormous. And most of the good stuff's over this side. I haven't even started on the other side yet, and God help me. But yeah, this is a bit closer than the left-hand end of the image. The other side is very vague. It's much further away. There is a very, very long straight line there, which I find suspicious, but that may just be a river bed or something. But yeah, most of it's all over here. There's tons and tons of stuff. I mean, I'll probably end up having to do a couple more videos just on these boats and ships and stuff, because there's so much here. I mean, I can't believe it. I really cannot believe it. It's like it was a military base thousands of years ago, maybe. You know, these could have been here an awful long time, but I think actually they're not that old. I think Mars was a perfectly habitable place until not very long ago. As little as 100 years ago, I think. That's only based on what I've seen on the ground, mainly a lot of the animal specimens I found, which are still looking pretty fresh. Now, they may be sort of naturally mummified in the very thin atmosphere, well, not very thin, the thin atmosphere, and extremely well preserved because of the lack of oxygen. And I really do think that's why a lot of these animal skulls I found recently, they still have eyes in them, they still have lips, they still have hair, they still have soft tissue on their face, and they're extremely well preserved. Now, we know it's very cold up there at night, and everything freeze dries, and it's a very, very good place to preserve that kind of material. And the same would go for metallic objects. I mean, these ships and stuff, and aircraft and boats and whatever that is, and stuff like that, if they're made of metal, I mean, the metal would not actually degrade at all. Without oxygen there, or very little oxygen in it, 0.5% oxygen, or thereabouts, or 0.5%, so less than 1% oxygen. Without oxygen in the atmosphere and not a great deal of moisture, these things are going to last for millennia. These could have been there for a million years, they could have been there 10,000 years, who knows. What I'm saying is, from what I've seen on the ground, I think that a lot of these things died out not that long ago, actually, obviously before we went there, in the 70s. But I think they may well have been an active civilization, or may still be. But they could have still been active 100 years ago. Who's to say? So a lot of these things could be quite recent, which would explain how well preserved they are. Okay, enough about that. Right, let's start looking at the clips. Now, I covered these other things in the previous video, this very strange object. I really want to do a video on this thing alone, perhaps, but because it's right at the top of the image, I can't really clip that out. There's not enough of it. I've been downloading loads of images of Mount Sharp, trying to find different angles, and I'll probably come back to that. Because I think Chris at Mars Anomaly said in one of his videos, and one or two other people, like Mars Unasked and the Sky also said, there are large structures up here that have fallen over, and I think this may be one of them. It may even be one of the same ones that they pointed out in one of their videos from a different angle. So I'll do a bit more research on that before I start doing any of that, because there may well be a perfectly good video of that already that one of those guys has done. Okay, right. Now then, I'll stop zooming in and out of that. Try not to make you feel ill. So, right, okay, I think that covers all the things so far. I'll just sharpen up those that, again, this is the boat that I published yesterday. Just here. You can see the inner part of the boat there, the dark bit, and this is what I think is a saucer up here that I published a couple of days ago. There's the top part, there's the front, there's the back. There. Okay. So there's so much stuff here just in this area, and there's probably more down here, which I haven't even touched on yet. So what I did, because this was getting so crowded, I downloaded, I copied the original, but untreated clip of Mount Sharp from the Rottnest image, and found a load more stuff. Now, this may take another video to cover this properly as well. There's so much here. But it was getting so crowded on the page here that I thought, well, I better start again, because they're all starting to overlap each other. There's so much here. Now, this big mountain part here, which is sort of one end of Mount Sharp here, there's loads of weird stuff here. They're a bit vague, but there are some very nicely shaped objects on the side of this mountain, which don't look natural to me. They look a little bit too perfectly curved and a bit too straight in places. There's one here. We'll start at this end. Now this may be a boat that's kind of tipped over here. Sharpen that up for you. Oh, hang on a minute. I need to deselect first. Okay. Before we do that. Okay, there we go. There seems to be some sort of structure, superstructure there. You can see that. So we've got another curved boat shape with another what looks like a cabin sort of thing on it. Just there, which is fairly clear when you sharpen it. So that may or may not be a boat, but it looks like one. It may be a building. Who's to say they don't have lots of boat-shaped buildings? I mean, you know, these could be buildings. Now this is a very nicely shaped object, and this looks to me like the front end of an aeroplane. It may not be, but this is the sort of back towards the back end. There may be a lot of it buried. There may be some of it broken off here. As with a lot of similar aircraft I found, a lot of them are broken into sections. These all may be parts of the same thing, strewn out across the whole area, you know. But this, to me, look at this pointy end here. I mean, I don't know if you can make that out there, but there seems to be a cabin here, a cockpit, and this curve is so perfect. Look at that curve, and there's some detail down here when you squeeze it out. I mean, I'll probably come back to this one as well. This is a nice object. This one, lovely curve on the back there. Looks like, and that looks very much to me like a pointed front end of an airplane, like a jet or something. Don't know, maybe not. I'll probably come back to that one in another video. There's another object here, not a lot to see there, but there's a very straight bottom edge to it, and a nice curve to that as well. Don't know if that's anything. There's a weird one here. There looks like a wing or part of a boat structure here. I've highlighted that in yellow. Just sharpen that for you. There we go. You can see what looks like another boat here. This may be a whole nother boat. This whole thing here, who's to say? It looks like it's got some built up superstructure here, like a cabin area. And yeah, there's even something coming down here. You know, there's all sorts of stuff going on here. And there's this long thing. Now, this may or may not be a ship or a boat, don't know. But there's some suspiciously straight stuff going on here. There's a nice curve to that bit. There's a straight bit that goes right along. Kind of joins onto this front bit here. I've already highlighted this in yellow, just to remind me where it is so I can find it again. There's interesting stuff here, you know. Sharpen that front end. I mean, this may be another one. Who knows? This could be a spaceship, could be a boat, could be an aeroplane, could be a submarine. Maybe none of the above. It may just be a natural structure here, but it looks to me suspiciously artificial. It all just seems a little bit too good to be true, some of this stuff. And there's some strange stuff going on in this big mountain here. I've already started on that today. This was just a quick analysis here. This would probably take a whole video in itself just to do a proper job on that. I'll leave that there because I haven't taken any clips of these. I'll show you the clips I've taken. Now this was cool. You're going to really like this one. This looks like a huge kind of battleship or something lying on its side. Now what I've done here is I've drawn around it. Now I've selected each part of the. It's in multi-layers, this thing. So it's like if you imagine a battleship from above or lying on its side, you've got what looks like the cabin area, or the sort of quarter deck here. This is where the captain would be, right? Okay. You have another layer here and another layer here, like different stories here. Okay. Just sharpen these bits up a bit so you can see them. Okay. Now there's something strange here in the foreground. Whether that's part of it, I don't know. This may be something else in front of it altogether. If you look at that, this could be another one right in front of it, or maybe part of the cell. But yeah, let's sharpen the edges up so you can see the edge more here. There we go. Okie doke. There we go. Now, this may look a bit confusing because I've coloured this yellow, then this blue, and then this yellow, then this blue. But this is just to get across the different stages and different levels of superstructure on this thing. Okay. Now, I have taken a clip of this, and I'll show you it again, and I'll run through an animation of these different clips that I've done, showing you what I've done to them, and then you'll see it coming to life. You can kind of, if you know anything about, my uncle was in the Navy, so I know a little bit about ships and submarines. He was actually on a nuclear submarine. He was chief petty officer on a Polaris nuclear submarine. Believe it or not, he actually died a few years ago, but he retired a while back and was very highly thought of chief petty officer, which is about as high as you can get without going to the naval college to be an officer. So he was a very respected member of the British Navy, served for all his life, and had a very dangerous job. And imagine that, having the codes to the weapons drawer, and also the codes to the keys to the weapons drawer on board a nuclear submarine, and also the codes for the nuclear weapons. So if there was a nuclear war, you'd have to put the code in, stick the key in the thing, and then whack the code in to arm them. I think they carried 12 nuclear missiles on a Polaris submarine. They were enormous things, not unlike this thing here. Submarine. The Polaris missiles used to shoot out the top of it. It had a row of hatches along the top, and they would shoot them out the top. Luckily, you never had to use it, but what a job. What a job. Okay, right. That's it. That's old Uncle Martin. Now, okay, we're going to look at the clips now in closer detail. You're going to love these. We'll look at the submarine first. No, we won't. We'll look at the boat first. This is the smaller boat that I showed you earlier. Now, what I've done is I've drawn around it carefully. I've then upped the contrast. I've sharpened it and softened it a bit more, softened it a bit more. I've brightened it up, darkened it, all sorts here, just to really push down. This isn't one of the best ones here because it is quite small, and it's quite a long way off, as they all are. But being smaller, it's harder. But you can see there an internal part of the structure, like the front end of the boat here. Okay, that's the front. That's the back. I think the back may be a bit shorter. It may actually stop here. It's really hard to tell. It's a bit blurry there. So I think this may be the back of the boat here, just here. So this may be superfluous to it, actually, this bit. Not really sure. It seems like the shadow here is darker, so this may be the back end, and this may not be. So a bit hard to tell with that one. But what I've done is I've highlighted the superstructure on top of it. Like there's a sort of cabin here. There's a sort of cabin here, and there's something in the back here, like a cabin or something. Now, if you look carefully, you can actually see some really nice right angles here. Look at this. Look at that. I mean, that's a nice right angle there. There's some another nice right angle here. There's a nice roof on this up here. I'll just sharpen it as I go round. There's the roof on that. There's another straight line here. See that? So there's some lovely right angles in this, as if it's got a bunch of cabins on the back. This is like some sort of barge or something. This looks like a barge. I mean, obviously, it's not in very good repair, this one. Bit of a shipwreck, this one. But I thought you'd like to see that. I'll go through the animations of all these in a minute and show you what I did to them to get them to this point. Okay, let's get him out of the way. Now, let's have a look at this one. This is the one right up on the hill, on the big hill, below what looks like a collapsed tower, which is up here. I'll show you that. There he is. That's him there. Now, I didn't draw around him very well the first time because I kind of rushed it. It was just an image map, this one. These are only quickly done just to remind myself where they are. But this, I clipped this part out here, and there we have it. This is it. Now I've drawn around it a bit more carefully this time, and I've highlighted what looks like the cockpit area of this thing, if that's what it is. This may be a ship, like a little spaceship or something. Don't know really. It could be just a part of an aircraft. It could just be the front end. It may be the entire aircraft, like a sort of shuttle type thing. There's some weird stuff up here as well, and down here, who knows. But we're concentrating on this. Like I said, I drew around it. I changed the colour temperature. First of all, I grayscaled the whole thing first, then I drew around this. I increased the colour depth and then blued it out here. And then I did the same with this. I just selected around what looks like a cockpit. There seems some good detail here. This looks like a cockpit area, and perhaps sort of a seat here. Like someone could sit in there, you know. Like maybe there is someone sat in there. Who knows? But there seems to be some really good detail here. I mean, there's only so much you can squeeze out of these because they're a long way off, right on the mountain. But this is fairly large. This one, not as big as some of the others. It's pretty big. And I'll give you an idea of the scale of that one up against the others. There he is. Here's the submarine thing I showed you earlier, which is the longest of all these. There's the submarine. There's the UFO. God, there's so many. So yeah, this is about half the size of that. What looks like one end of a submarine there. I mean, so it's fairly big. I couldn't tell you exactly how big it is, but I'd say about 30 meters, maybe 40, something like that. So it's pretty big. So yeah, this is sort of UFO territory here. We're looking at a sort of saucer thing. And what looks like the cockpit area has kind of been damaged, but you can see into it. You can actually see into the hollowed out cockpit area there. Let's get a bit closer. There we go. So who knows? Is that a UFO? Is that a sort of another flying saucer? Could well be. You know, right. This is getting better and better now. This is the weird one. Now I took a bit more time with this, and I actually drew around it like I've done with the others. Drew around the same process. I grayed out the background, the whole thing first, then drew around it. Changed the colour temperature in the selected part so it goes blue. And then I did the same here for what looks like the cockpit thing here. Now, this is weird. This is so weird. It looks like a long spine sort of structure with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cockpit area, nose, tail. This is in sections, almost like it's reticulated, like a sort of biomechanical design, you know, with these sort of spines on it. I mean, what the hell is this thing? It may be nothing to do with any of the other stuff at all. This could be something completely different. I really don't know. I'll just reverse some of the stuff on this and get rid of that light area here. I've just done that to remind me that looks like a bit like a cockpit area. This is what it actually looks like before I did it. There. Okay, does that make more sense? Is this a cockpit? Is this the nose? It does seem to be almost perfectly straight along the bottom here. It's partially obscured there. But the structure is very straight along the bottom, so it's something sitting on a flat sort of edge to the mountain, nice and flat. And there seems to be a zoom out a bit, because if you get too close to this, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Tail section, another section, another one, another one, another one, another one, another one, cockpit, nose. Spike here, spike here, spike here, spike there. What the hell is this thing? It's almost like some sort of biomechanical design, like a sort of ship or something that may sort of bend, like a snake almost. Yeah, with different sections. Yeah, like one of those, you know, those toy snakes you had when you were a kid, the sort of plastic ones that were in different bits joined up, and you could kind of wiggle it about. It's a bit like that. I mean, this is really puzzling. Crazy. It's like one of those things you would see on, like I said earlier, like you would see on Transformers or one of those crazy kind of robot things, you know, which kind of curls up into, maybe it curls up into a ball or something like a armadillo type thing with like an armored section to it, like the different parts, like a reticulated bit of armor or something. I mean, I'm just mind-boggling, this stuff. It really is. I'll show you the animation of that, how I got to that in a minute, as with all these other ones. Now, this is probably my favourite one. This is the battleship one. It looks like one. There's no guns on it. Can't see any big guns, but maybe this was a gun here sticking out that's broken off. I was a bit more careful with this selection. I took a bit more time on it. I drew around it a bit more carefully, and I've highlighted it and done the different sections and levels of this what looks like a battleship. This is the sort of cabin area here, or the superstructure. We'll go a bit closer. Look at this. Some quite good detail here. There's a nice shadow here. This, like I said before, this may be nothing to do with it, this thing in front. This may be something else completely different, or another boat lying in front of it. So this may be nothing to do with it, this thing here. Who's to say? But this looks like the front end of the boat. This is the central kind of superstructure with different levels, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 levels of superstructure, and this is the sort of back end that's either broken. This is kind of broken in half, this ship, or it's half buried. Don't know. It doesn't seem to carry on, but there does seem, if you look on the whole image, there does seem to be more of it further over. I mean, it's hard to say. This is the other thing I showed you a bit earlier. Some of it may carry on right along here and sort of buried or behind this stuff in front. So, yes, it could be enormous. This could be like 300 meters long, the whole thing, if we had the whole thing. I'm just kind of guessing the size of this, but this is huge. This is really big. It's like a Navy sort of frigate or something, you know, battleship or so. It's that kind of size. We're talking hundreds of meters long, possibly longer. I haven't worked out exactly how big that is. I'll try and work it out and put it in the description of the video. Right, so that covers all the clips so far. I'll try and keep this short. So yeah, bear with me. There's a lot of stuff to see here. So there we go. Let's have another quick look at that. Before, let me sharpen that a bit. Let's sharpen the edge up just so you can see the top edge. There's some real good stuff in here. Really interesting. And this looks like the main superstructure at the highest level, and then there's the different levels of it. Now, when I show the animation, this will make more sense. Well, I'll actually do that now for you because we're taking too long already. These videos are getting real long. Alright, where's the animation? The animation will be in here. Now I'm going to flip through all of these now using the Windows Photo Viewer, which is easier than me grabbing each clip and doing it separately. This is a lot more efficient this way. Right, raw clip. This is the little boat. Let's not get too close to that because it's not great, this one. This is the smaller boat, grey-scaled. Selected and colour temperature cooled down. Sharpened and highlighted, you know, up to contrast. Now I've changed the whole colour temperature, you know, colour balance. So now the background's gone, it's back to almost like its original colour. And this is purely done so that if I do use it for covering, which I won't do for this one, purely done to show the structure off in a better way, so you can actually see what I'm talking about here. There I've selected the what look like the superstructures on this one. A nice square looking cabin there. And I've highlighted it using the sharpen tool. SH on the end, yeah, that means sharpened. Okay, here's this one. Now, what I did with that is I drew around it off, so. But I just cut it out just so to make it really obvious what we're looking at here. Look at the shape of this thing. There we are. This is how I did it. Now that's been selected and sharpened. I drawn around it again, sharpened it. Colour temperature, it cooled down again, softened it up a bit, and done the entire colour temperature now on the whole picture. just to make it stand out. I mean, this is cool, this thing, whatever it is. But I really don't know what to call that. I mean, is it some kind of ship, some kind of machine? It looks biomechanical in design, like a spine shape. Really crazy. Yeah, okay. That's just where I highlighted what I think may be a cockpit on this. Who knows? And you can see where I sharpened it there. And I'm going back to the raw image. Okay. But it always helps if you grayscale it after the raw image. And then draw around it. There's the raw image. Okay. That was my second attempt at this. So this is my first attempt, which went a bit wrong because I drew around too much. Part 2, sorry about that. The time limit went out on my recording software there. Okay, let's carry on. So yeah, this is where it went a bit pear-shaped. So this is my first attempt. So I don't always publish everything I do. Sometimes things go wrong. This doesn't always work. Sometimes you have to do stuff again and start again. This is normal. Here's what looks like the saucer-shaped thing with the cockpit. There he is. There's the detail. Let's go back to that again. Zoom in a little bit. This is pretty cool. I mean, look at this in here. This may well have had a glass kind of dome over it, which is broken away, like a cockpit dome, glass cockpit. And we're actually seeing inside it. Now, obviously, I've highlighted that to show the detail. But that would be a bit darker, as you can probably tell there. See? So, but it was naturally brighter than a lot of the rest of this thing, which is why I selected it and did that. So that looks like some mechanical stuff going on inside there. Pretty cool. Now I'll sharpen it. I'm just going through that again. That's the raw image. Here's the submarine. This is my favourite, I think. Let's get in close. This is cool. This looks like the front end of the submarine, like I said before. There seems to be maybe some sort of cabin structure here, or a couple of windows here. I don't know. This looks like something you'd fire a torpedo out of, like a hole in the side. And this, at the other end, like I said earlier, looks like a damaged propeller sticking out. There's probably a whole bunch of propellers. You wouldn't just have one propeller on something. You'd have a sort of a few on the back, I would have thought, or one large one, or a few smaller ones. It depends on the design. Yeah, I mean, look at this. I'll go through this. That's why I sharpened it. I've gone in with the sharpened brush here and just highlighted tried to drag out some of the contours in here for you. I mean, this bit on the end may be a bit dubious. I didn't draw around that particularly well. I think that's probably a bit straighter there. So forgive me for that. Okay, I've softened it a bit there. And now I've picked out what may be the sort of damaged propeller on the back, where it's kind of bent. I've highlighted that in yellow so you can see it. That's cool. That's a nice bit of detail. I'll show you that a bit closer. There we go. There he is. I was really careful drawing around that. And let's go to the next stage. There we go. I highlighted what looks like this hole at the front here in yellow. I've just brightened the whole thing up. There we go. That's probably going to go on the cover, maybe. One of them could be on the cover. So many good things in this in this part of on this part of Mount Sharp. I mean, I'll be hard pushed to find which is the best one to go on the cover. Really, there's too many. Okay, there we are. This is the original one, and this didn't quite work because when I was doing this for the first time around, not only is it not very well centered, but I noticed the propeller starting to come out. I thought, oh, hang on a minute. There he is. See, that hasn't been enhanced, that propeller at all. That's just a contrast and stuff that's pulled that out there. I haven't drawn around it at all there. But that's when I started to notice it. When I upped the contrast, you start to see this shape. I thought, oh, let's do this again and do it properly. So this was another failed attempt here. Grayscale it, obviously, to start with. There's the raw image. I mean, you wouldn't know there was a submarine there, would you? But there is. There's something like a submarine there. It may not be a submarine, but it looks a bit like one to me. And there's the battleship lying on its side. There's the grayscale. This is what it kind of looks like before you really do anything. This has just been darkened down and contrasted up. Selected around it, colour temperature, cooled it down, and I've done the different layers. And I should have actually saved it in more layers there so you can see the different stages of it, I suppose. And now we're back to the small boat. Okay, so we've seen all those. Right. Okay, so if you want to check all these out, all you've got to do is download like I said before, link will be in the description and in the video. All you got to do is down the TIFF image of this Rottnest panoramic, zoom into the background, get in close, and really darken it up, and have a really good look at this Mount Sharp in the background, because it's absolutely rammed with stuff. And one thing that occurred to me is that it really does, some of this stuff look like the Abydos glyph that in Egypt, which is supposedly depicting. I'll show you. This is my website, artonian.net here. I don't know if I've put an article on this. You know, there's the helicopter, Abydos helicopter. Temple of Seti in Egypt. Looks like a helicopter, which just happens to be having a part underneath which could easily lift up massive stone blocks to put on the pyramid. As if by magic, yeah. And it's kind of like one of these things here, this little helicopter here. Well, it's a very large helicopter lifting up a tank. It's got like an undersection here, like a transport machine, not an attack helicopter, but one for picking up large things. That's what it looks like. I'll show you a close up of that. Now, this looks like a spaceship with a shuttle coming out of the bottom of it, coming into land at a spaceport here in Egypt. Don't know what all this stuff up here is, but this looks like a spaceport or some kind of landing area. With a shuttle coming out of this. Very interesting glyph, this one. And this looks like a big sort of submarine or something, or maybe a huge mothership type thing here. And there's the helicopter with very clear propeller on the top and a tail at the back and a cabin at the front and a nose there and a bit underneath for carrying stuff. I mean, fascinating. That's absolutely fascinating. I think we've covered this on Ancient Aliens, and if you want to see any of the Ancient Aliens episodes, I've got them all on my website. You go to the menu up here, video menu. There we go. Ancient Aliens, got every single episode you can possibly want, going from the very first sort of trailer episode right up to the last one. So if you like Ancient Aliens and want to see some old episodes, they're all on here. You can see any episodes you like. Just thought I'd throw that in for you. But yeah, I mean, these are looking so similar to what I'm finding on Mars. I mean, it really is crazy. One thing to bear in mind, the word, oh, hang on a minute, what's it called? The Great Pyramids in Egypt. I can't remember the name of the bloody place now. My mind's gone blank. Basically, there may well be a connection between Mars and Egypt. And this may be what we're looking at on Mars. Some of this stuff may be Martian technology that the Egyptians were depicting. It looks very similar. Some of these shapes look very familiar, really familiar to what I'm seeing on Mars. And the more I find, the more convinced I am that there is a connection there. There are so many similarities between some of these things that I'm finding. And some of the stuff in Egypt. Not only have we got pyramids and stuff and strange burial mounds and stuff like that, and there's probably temples up here as well, you know, like there are in Egypt. There's probably burial sites and all kind of similar ancient stuff as well as these modern-looking ships and structures. So who's to say, you know, the Martians could have been communicating with the Egyptians. Where's that thing? Oh, it's so weird. Look at that. Who knows? They could have been communicating with them. They could have been the Egyptians may have even come from Mars, some of them. It might explain why they look like aliens, some of them, with their elongated heads and stuff. So, yeah, I think that covers them all. I'll put these image clips at the end of the video just so you can see them closer up again. I'll put them right at the end. This has been a long video, this one. Sorry it took so long, but there's so much to cover here. I'll probably have to do another one to cover some more of this stuff. There's just too much here. It's just crazy. Thanks for watching, everybody, especially if you stuck through all of that. So much to cover. Thanks for watching. This is Joe from Artanian TV. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you soon.